Each day, Jo would wake up after a restless, broken night's sleep, and before her eyes were fully open, the worry had already begun. It didn't knock, it didn't wait, it rushed in. Before her feet even touched the floor, her mind was racing. Would her ride to the doctor show up on time? And if it did, would the doctor be able to help her pain? Why hadn't her son or daughter called? Had she said something wrong? Would her neighbor complain again today? Would her grandkids ever find their footing? One thought led to another and another and another until the weight of it all settled in. Her list of worries was long, and every morning it was waiting for her, fresh, relentless, and exhausting. People often assume that once you retire and leave behind the pressures of work, that life becomes easier, lighter, even carefree. But for many older adults, that couldn't be further from the truth. Instead of stress disappearing, it quietly shifts. It becomes more personal, more internal, and often harder to escape. Anxiety, worry, and stress begin to chip away at what could otherwise be a perfectly good day. But here's the good news. What if that cycle could be interrupted? What if there were simple, practical ways to quiet the noise, regain a sense of control, and actually reclaim your day? Feeling anxious is easy, but easing anxiety can be simple too. Today, I'm going to share 7 proven ways to help you find more calm and take back your day.
Welcome to Senior Living Moments with Nancy Nelson. With 45 years of connecting with seniors, 2 decades of award-winning experience in assisted living, and a heart full of compassion, Nancy brings you stories that resonate and insights that empower. Get ready for real conversations, practical wisdom, and heartfelt humor to help you and your loved ones navigate the journey of seasoned adulthood with confidence and grace. And now, here's Nancy.
Our podcast today is sponsored by Belmont Village Senior Living. Let's take a closer look at stress in the later years of life. We'll talk about what causes it and what we can do to help ourselves find relief, hopefully with or without medication. Why do we often feel more stress and anxiety as we age? Let's start here. First, older adults tend to feel more vulnerable. There's a growing awareness of physical limitations, loss of mobility, vision, hearing, strength. Many seniors recognize that they can't easily jump out of harm's way or respond quickly in a moment of danger. Something as simple as reading small print or steadying a shaking hand to sign a document can become so frustrating. This increased awareness of vulnerability can quietly fuel anxiety. In fact, research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society estimates that nearly 20% of older adults experience significant anxiety symptoms, often tied to health concerns and perceived loss of independence. Second, elders often feel a loss of control. They may no longer drive or manage their own finances or fully plan their daily schedules and appointments. They may need assistance with problem solving, decision making, and even personal care. It's deeply unsettling to feel like control over your own life is slipping away and that loss alone can be a major source of stress. Third, physical limitations and health needs increase with age. Many seniors take multiple medications, use assistive devices like walkers or wheelchairs, and require help with daily tasks. These increased needs can feel overwhelming. I remember times when my own mother could answer the door, but she couldn't safely manage the steps outside. That simple reality just created fear for her, especially when she thought about what she would do in case of emergency. Another significant stressor for seniors is isolation and lack of connection. By the later years of life, relationships often change. Family members are busy working, raising children, and managing their own lives. Friends may be dealing with their own health issues or may no longer be around. Seniors can find themselves alone more often, and thoughts and emotions that go unexpressed simply because nobody's consistently available to listen. According to the National Institute on Aging, Prolonged social isolation is strongly linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even cognitive decline. The inability to remember or clearly express needs can also become a major stressor. Seniors may experience frustration when they cannot find the right words or remember what day it is, or complete tasks that once felt automatic, like buttoning a shirt or finding their way back to their own apartment. This can lead to behavioral expressions of stress. Just like babies cry when they're hungry or uncomfortable, older adults often express their deepest needs through emotional reactions when they cannot articulate what they're feeling. Another stressor that often shows up is a lower tolerance for other people. I remember being in a meeting with a large group of seniors, passionately encouraging them to be patient and kind with one another. And in the middle of my talk, a woman in the very back of the room says, "What is Nancy saying? I can't hear her." Another woman immediately turned around and snapped, "Will you just shut up? Nancy is talking." It was a moment that was both humorous and revealing. Other people's habits or opinions or quirks and behaviors can feel much more irritating when patience is low. Even my own dad, who truly loves people, once called his roommate a weirdo because he was yelling at the other caregivers. Stress can increase when expectations aren't met, like when family arrives late or leaves too soon, and when emotional filters begin to thin. So let's shift now and talk about some practical ways to deal with anxiety and stress, whether you're a senior yourself or you're supporting a loved one. First, live in this day only. There is nothing we can change about the past. It's over. And we must do our very best to stay out of future worry because worrying about tomorrow often drains energy without producing solutions. Research from Penn State suggests that as much as 90% of what we worry about never actually happens. All we truly have is today, and the only thing we can influence is how we choose to live it. Second, be willing to ask for help. There's no need to prove independence at the cost of peace. If you need assistance with showering or navigating a store or remembering an appointment, ask for help. If you don't remember somebody's name or where you're supposed to be, just ask. We were never meant to do life alone, and asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Third, talk to your doctor about your anxiety, your stress, your depression, or even changes in appetite. Sometimes medications need to be adjusted, and in some cases, a small dose of a anti-anxiety medication can help restore balance when there's a chemical component involved. There are many safe and effective options available that can help seniors feel more grounded and calm. Fourth, let me encourage you, don't isolate. Even small steps toward connection can make a meaningful difference. Sit in a hallway where people pass by. Visit a coffee shop and read your book there. Walk through a grocery store. You don't even need to engage in a conversation. Simply being around other people can be therapeutic. I once saw a 95-year-old man who sat on his front porch every day, waving to school buses as they passed. It brought him joy and occasionally a wave back from a child. That small connection mattered. Fifth, simplify your environment. As we age, life becomes easier when it becomes simpler. Too many possessions, papers, clothes, and choices can feel overwhelming. I remember Sandy, who moved into our community after living in a large home for 35 years. Her daughters lovingly brought many of her belongings to make her new space feel like home, but instead it overwhelmed her. Once they reduced the clutter, fewer clothes, fewer items, fewer choices, Sandy immediately felt lighter and calmer and more at peace. Sixth, get some fresh air and incorporate movement into your day. This is one of the most powerful yet overlooked tools for emotional well being. I've seen individuals sit all day in their apartments watching the same television programs, feeling increasingly stuck. But the moment they stepped outside into fresh air, something shifts. Studies show that regular movement, even gentle activity, can reduce symptoms of anxiety in older adults by up to 30%. Seventh, write down your worries. Take a piece of paper and list what's bothering you. Then go through each item and ask yourself, is there anything I can do about this today? If the answer is yes, then take one small step. If the answer is no, cross it off and replace it with something you're grateful for. For example, if you write, "Oh, I miss my family," you might ask, "Can I do something about this today?" Maybe the answer is yes. You can call your daughter for 5 minutes and talk to her. Or maybe the answer is no. And instead you write, "I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful they're healthy and working hard." This simple practice can shift your mindset from worry to gratitude. There are many other ways to deal with stress: prayer, reading uplifting books, taking walks, practicing deep breathing. The key is to remember this: you are not a prisoner to your stress. Feelings come and go, they are not permanent. You have the ability, step by step, to move beyond, around, or through anxiety into a place of greater peace.